about A Part Equal, which actually opens this evening. So very, very exciting. Appreciate you ladies taking time out of, I'm sure, a busy day to be
yes.
here.
No, thank you for having us.
Of course, absolutely. Now this is the Appalachian Women's Theater group that's putting this on, correct?
That is correct, yes.
Fantastic. Well, talk with us a little bit about this group for any of our viewers who may not be familiar.
Sure. Well, Appalachian Women's Theater group was founded last semester. It was an idea that had been around for a while and no one had really acted on it, so a group of us got together and just went forward with it. Our mission is to promote women in the arts. That's female playwrights, female actresses, directors, just all of it. So last semester we did our first production, which was The Most Massive Woman Wins by Madeline George. Had a huge turnout. We only had 2 productions, or 2 shows of it. And after our first show, we had a surprise piece done in the local newspapers.
Wow.
It was just very well received by the community. So we're back, and this time we have an original piece that was written by a faculty member at Appalachian State.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, what is that like to do an original piece compared with maybe something that's a little more well-known?
It's a little nerve-wracking. We actually commissioned the play for this specific High Country Shakespeare Festival. So the playwright was writing it, started writing it in, I guess, November or so. So it's like a living, breathing member of the production team.
Finished it a couple weeks ago.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, the script only finished a couple weeks ago, so it was interesting as it was evolving. The cast members had to keep remolding themselves, and the directors had to keep shifting their ideas as well. So.
Okay, so constant work in progress, it sounds
Yes.
like. All right, now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the show. Talk with me about your different roles in this.
Well, as the club president, I'm kind of the producer. I do a lot with making sure there's money to be
Important
spent,
aspect.
advertising and stuff like that.
Yep. And director, assistant director, we worked closely together. We cast the show together and pretty much did it. She's like a co-director, really. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Now, don't give us too much information. Don't give anything away. But can you tell us a little bit about this performance and what people can expect if they attend?
Well, each person plays multiple roles in the show. So it starts with Shakespeare's parents and goes throughout history with women who were affected by Shakespeare in their life. So
we have actresses who, like Margaret Hughes, the first woman who was on stage, which was a big deal, and like different actresses who have played women of Shakespeare, or they've played male roles, which was also a really big deal.
Right.
And so we go from Shakespeare's parents all the way to present day.
Wow. Covering a lot of ground here in this performance.
Yes.
it's little glimpses of. It's only about an hour and.
It's about a 60-minute show.
Okay.
Yeah. So. Yeah, each is just a little scene, a little glimpse, a little photograph of the women's lives, and it's really interesting to watch.
Sounds like
Yeah.
it. Now, talk with us a little bit about casting this, and because characters are playing multiple roles, how do you cast someone for multiple roles?
Somebody who has a lot of energy and perseverance, I would say. Honestly, we didn't have much of the script when we had auditions, so we had to just go off of 2 or 3 of the scenes that those are the only ones we had, and it was just how well the actors reacted to what we gave them, and they're all very flexible and excited to be there.
Wonderful. And how many people are in this cast?
7.
5 girls, 2 boys.
Okay, so we do have a few guys mixed in here.
Yes.
All right, fantastic. So if people come this weekend, are they going to laugh? Are they going to cry? Do they need to bring tissues?
Both.
Okay, a little bit of everything. We're going to hit all the emotions.
Yes.
Awesome. Now, talk with us a little bit about the theater group and kind of how you got involved in that.
Well, I was in the initial group that had the first idea for it. We had a meeting that was like maybe 5 students and 1 professor, and we were all just sitting around saying, yeah, this is a great idea. And then no one did anything to act on it. People graduated, and it was just me. And this is when I was a sophomore. And I said, this is still a good idea. So I kind of just went out on a limb, and we started it. Myself, Savannah Core, who was in the cast, and a couple of other girls just gave it our best shot. Last semester we started from having no money. We put in a lot of our own funds, did a lot of fundraisers, and by the end of the semester, after doing the 2 shows, we had over $300. So, putting a full production up and then still making that much money was huge for us.
Absolutely.
And so it's been a rough process. We faced a little bit of opposition just in starting a new club, and kind of getting support from the community to rally behind this kind of
the
cause.
theater department.
Yeah. It's been we've had some rough spots, but for the most part, we've had a lot of support. A lot of the faculty members.
The playwright, Derek's been
Derek
amazing.
Davidson has been overwhelmingly supportive. Our advisor, Teresa Lee, Keith Martin. So a lot of theater and dance faculty members have been just in our corner this whole time. So
Wonderful.
it's very helpful.
Now, what are the steps of starting a new club on campus? I'd imagine this is kind of a tough process.
It's a lot of jumping through hoops. I'm still jumping. It's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of a pain. There's a club council type group on Appalachian's campus that you have to go through and kind of go through their website and system, which is incredibly bureaucratic and complicated, and but worth it. They can help us financially if we need the help now. Within the theater department, it's even more complicated. You have to kind of find faculty members that aren't already overcommitted with directing their own shows and designing their own shows, and that aren't already affiliated with clubs to kind of back us up. So it's complicated, and for the most part, we do everything ourselves. We don't ask the faculty for a lot of help or the club council for a lot of help. In this club are some of the most independent, passionate women and men that I've ever had the pleasure to work with. We just make things happen, which is more than I ever could have asked for. So yeah, it's been crazy, but I cannot even express how amazing it's been to have the support of my peers around me.
Absolutely, that means a lot.
It really does.
Now, how did you guys end up on this particular performance?
Wow. We wanted to, with the High Country Shakespeare Festival, we wanted to contribute. We were invited to join it if we had something meaningful to contribute. So we hunted for a little while. The original production we looked at doing was Women of Will, which is done by, I think, Tina Packard, and it's a one-woman, one-man show where they do a million Shakespeare scenes. So we were looking at it, and it just didn't seem very doable in our circumstances. And Derek Davidson offered his playwriting abilities, so we said yes, and kind of told him what we wanted, and that was we wanted to showcase the women that impacted Shakespeare.
Right.
Most of the time, people, if I say Shakespeare, you think Romeo and Juliet, Hamlet. You think of an entity more than a person.
Right.
But he was a person, and he was just as much affected by women as anyone else, despite his time period. So showing the women that affected him and the women that he affected and changed their lives was our main goal, and I think we've done a pretty good job of showcasing all of those women in the show.
Fantastic. Now talk with me a little bit about directing and what all that includes. Is this your first time directing or old pros?
This is my first time directing.
Okay.
So still kind of getting into it.
First time directing a full show.
So
And this is the first time I've done any kind of directing, so I'm glad Paige has been here to guide me.
kind of.
What all goes into directing a show?
Well, for a student production, I feel like it's a little different because you have more responsibility than you usually would.
Definitely, yes.
So scheduling is an issue.
Yeah.
Getting every cast member to a rehearsal.
Right.
It's very hard because we are committing ourselves to a lot of things as theater people because we want to be involved in every project ever.
Yeah.
So there's that issue. Then directing, you block the show, which means you just tell them where to go when is basically what it is. You find a theme, I guess. What would you call it?
Yeah. Like a
Concept?
direction. Yeah.
Yeah. For the show that you want the audience, what you want the audience to feel at the end, and we had to think about different sets and props, and that usually is a collaboration of a bunch of people, but since it's a student production, it's been a lot more work.
Yeah.
But and then there's costuming, so we have to figure that out, and we've worked with another student who helped us costume the show, so that was awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's just a lot of little pieces that come together.
Yeah, it's a chaotic process, but
It all came together.
It comes together, yeah.
Yeah.
It always does.
Okay, so going into tonight, we feel prepared.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
yeah, definitely.
Wonderful.
We ran the show twice last night, and we're in there until about 12:30 a.m.
Yeah, we pull some late nights working on this, on these shows. Yeah, this is not the first show that's been like that. Most of the club shows are like that, in that we've got classes all day.
Right.
A lot of other students have other musicals. Two of our cast members were in the musical that was up at App last weekend, right?
Yes.
So we're already committed to a full-time job as students and as theater students. So to take on another club project, it means pulling so many late nights and just.
But it's so worth
But we
it.
all know that getting into it.
Yes.
We do it
Oh,
anyway.
yeah.
So.
Go in with your eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, you mentioned what you want the audience to feel at the end. What is it that you're hoping the audiences will walk away with this weekend?
That's a good question. I guess I would like the audience to feel more of an appreciation behind not only Shakespeare, but I mean women of all kinds.
Right.
The women who, whether their contributions were great or small, have done something.
Yeah, I want people to be more interested in history and the women in history, because we do not talk about women in history as much as we should. So yeah, seeing the progression of women's rights throughout history through Shakespeare is actually really interesting in this
Yeah.
production. So I guess would like the audience to walk away with different thoughts in their heads. I want them to be thinking.
Fantastic.
That makes sense.
Well, this sounds like a fantastic show. Now, remind us one more time days and times and how to get tickets.
Of course. Tickets are sold at the door. We'll be starting tonight.
Cash only?
Yes, cash
Cash
only.
only,
Sorry.
cash.
Or check. Cash or check, sorry. Friday and Saturday night, 7 p.m. is our go time, so get there at 6:30 to get the best seats. And then Sunday at 2, get there at about 1:30 to get the best seats. And it's about an hour-long show, so it won't take up too much of your day, but it'll leave you thinking a lot.
And it's $5 for students and $8 for general.
$7, I think,
$7
for
for
general.
students.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, sounds good. And where is the show?
It is an I.G. Greer Studio Theater. If you know Appalachian's campus at all, the student movie theater is I.G. Greer. If you go to the student movie theater and then turn left and go down a little staircase, there's a bright red door, and that's where we'll be.
Fantastic.
There's a
Sounds
sign that
great.
says Greer Studio
Theater.
Yes.
Theater. So.
Right, sounds great. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for coming in
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you.
Of course, and best of luck this weekend. And we will be back right after these messages with more of the Mountain Television Network.